In this video, I'll show you how to connect Google Sheets to N8N in under 5 minutes. You'll learn how to trigger workflows from Google Sheets as well as add data into them. And unlike some tutorials, I've kept this one really simple. There's no faffing around with Google Cloud or anything technical. So let's get started. So there's a few ways you can get started with your Google Sheets integration. If you're new to N8N, I actually wouldn't recommend starting from scratch like this. I would recommend either looking through N8N's templates and see if you can find something that does close to what you're trying to build and then copying that into your account. Alternatively, if you want to make things really easy on yourself, just go to ChatGPT or Claude and say, give me an N8N JSON file and then describe what you're trying to build. So here we'll keep it really simple. When someone submits an N8N form, it adds a row to a Google Sheet. We'll talk about triggers later. I'll show you an example of how to do that. But let's just get something into N8N and we can then start looking at the connection. So here we can see Claude has come back with this artifact. We can just download that JSON, go back to N8N, and up here where these three little dots are, if you click this, there's an option to import from file. So you can click that, find the file, and then you'll see it's imported. So here you can see we've got a form trigger. So when someone submits this form, it's going to start the workflow and then it's going to append a row to our Google Sheet. And you can see here we've got a little cross on the Google Sheet because we've not connected it yet. So let's go through and get this connected. So if you double click into it, you can see the first thing we have up here is credential to connect with. So if we click that, we're going to create a new credential. I'm going to use the OAuth2 connection method and we're just going to click sign in with Google, select the account we're going to auth with, give it all the permissions that it needs, click continue, and so far that is looking good. So now our Google account's connected, the next thing we need to do is tell it which spreadsheet to append rows to. So we set this here where it says document. Now by default, it's asking us to enter an ID. The easier option here is to select this drop down and click from list. This is then going to pull in all the spreadsheets when you click here, and you can just select the spreadsheet that you want it to append rows to. You then don't have to go and find the ID from the URL. You can then select the sheet from that spreadsheet if you've got multiple tabs, multiple sheets in it. So next we need to map the fields from our form submission to the Google Sheet so it knows which fields to populate into which columns on the Google Sheet. So I'm just going to try and execute the previous node. This is going to open our form and we can enter some information here. So I'm going to submit our form and you can see now this has given us some data here down the left. Now what you can do is just drag these fields directly into where you want to map them to. So these values here are the columns in our Google Sheet. So we're just dragging and dropping from the form triggers. So here we've got email. I'm just going to drop that into email. Now, if I click execute this step, this should append a row to our Google Sheet. Here's our Google Sheet at the moment. We can see we just got 2 columns and we haven't got any rows of data. If I click execute step, this should come back and tell us, so it looks like it's worked. And if I go to our Google Sheet, we can see that that's now working. So next I'll show you how to use Google Sheets as a trigger. So when something happens in Google Sheets, we can do things in other apps. So this one we're going to build step by step from scratch. So we're going to click create workflow, add a first step. We're just going to click here and search for Google Sheets. You can then see all the triggers available to us. And if you select action, you can also see what actions are available. In this case, we're going to select trigger because this is the first step of the workflow. So I'm going to keep it simple and say when a row is added, we're then going to have the same setup as last time. So we need to create a credential, sign in with Google, give it the permissions. That's all done. Then we need to select our document. So again, easiest way of doing this is just selecting it from the list. We'll select that spreadsheet and we're going to fetch a test event. So we've got that row that we added earlier. And now all I'm going to do is add an action to send me an email when a row is added. So Gmail is probably going to be the easiest. And we're going to send a message. Again, we'll go through to create a credential and I'm going to send an email to myself, say new lead, and then same as before, I'm just going to drop the information, drag and drop it into the message box. Now, if we execute that step, that should send me an email. So if I go to my inbox, we can see that I've received the email. So if you've got any questions about connecting Google Sheets to N8N, drop them in the comments below. I'll also pop some useful prompts and JSON in the description. And if you want to level up your N8N automation skills and build AI agents like a pro, watch this.